Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City of Paterson's 2024 Municipal Candidates Forum. This afternoon, we'll be hosting First Ward and Second Ward candidates. Right now, we have the First Ward candidates. Our moderator this afternoon is the esteemed former Councilman Kenneth M. Morris. He's now the Vice President of External Affairs at St. Joseph's Hospital. I'll now turn it over to Councilman Morris.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. It is again indeed a pleasure to have this opportunity to see government in action. And I'm excited to be before the candidates that we have here this afternoon. I think Paterson is blessed to have such a group of young men and women who are willing to serve. In addition to yourself, Madam Clerk, I'd also would like to thank the Deputy Clerk, Ms. Phyllis Riley, and I also, the most important person in the room is our timekeeper, right, Tridesha Hilbert, right? And we will be going back to Tridesha in a moment, right? Also joining us this afternoon is Amen Abushi and Jamar, I believe that's Sainon. Is that correct, Jamar? All right. And please, if I mispronounce your names, please attribute it to the mind and not the heart, right? And making sure that we're all looking good on camera. We have Rafael Gonzalez as well as Ryan Poot, all right? So, this is your opportunity, viewing public, to actually see government working. As Madam Clerk had said, these are our First Ward candidates. And I'm going to let you know who they are, but they will also have an opportunity to introduce themselves as well. So we have candidate Michael Jackson. Not being able to join us this afternoon is candidate Muhan Hussein. We also have candidate Fanya Santana. Right. We also have, not being able to join us this afternoon as well, is Ramona Blizzard. We have Rodney Addison, and we also have Musley Udine. Right. So, candidates, again, thank you for joining us. Each of you will have an opportunity to provide your opening statement. You'll have 5 minutes in which to do that. Our timekeeper, who I referenced earlier, has her signs that she will show you as your time is nearing its end. So she has her 5-minute sign there. It's nice bright red with white lettering. All right. She also has her 1 minute. That lets you know you have 1 minute left, but she will give you the courtesy of giving you a 2-minute warning as well. Now, the most important sign that you must pay attention to, all right, is this sign here, which is stop. Okay? Once she holds up that sign, you know, with all respect, I will terminate your comments. All right? We ask that you abide by the rules, so we actually have a civil discourse and let the voting public have an opportunity to evaluate each of you. Thank you, Candidate Jackson, for pointing that out. When you get to the question and answer period, you'll have, each candidate will have an ability to ask their opponents a question. Those opponents will have 2 minutes in which to respond, and we ask that you abide by the same timekeeper rules. The questions will be done in alphabetical order, all right, and then after which we'll have closing remarks, right? Now, your opening remarks will also be done in alphabetical order, and your closing remarks will be done in reverse alphabetical order, right? Do any of the candidates have any questions at this time? Okay, great. So I'm just gonna do, if you will allow me, just a little bit more housekeeping. I'd just like to bring to the public's attention the polling sites for this upcoming election. And District 1 is school number 28, located at 200 Presidential Boulevard. It will be in the multi-purpose room, with the entrance being on Clinton Street. For District Number 2, it will be the Christopher Hope Community Center, located at 60 Temple Street. District 3, your polling site will be located at school number 12, 121 North 2nd Street, but the entrance will be on North 4th Street, all right? For Districts 4 and 5, it will be at the Christopher Hope Community Center on 60 Temple Street. For Districts 6, 7, and 8, it'll be at the Joseph A. Taub School, 202 Union Avenue. The entrance will be on Don Bosco Avenue. For District 8, it will also be at the Joseph Taub School. District 9 will be at East Farms Apartments, 52 Godwin Street. District 10 will be at the Gordon Canfield Apartments at 160 Ward Street. And for District 11, it'll be at Kennedy High School, 61-127 Preakness Avenue, but the entrance will be on Totowa Avenue. Also, with your permission, I would just like to bring to your attention some other important dates to keep in mind. On May 3rd, the official ballots will be transmitted of the voting machines. On May 7th will be the last day to apply by mail for a vote by mail ballot. On May 10th is early voting. May 11th, it's also early voting, as well as May 12th, early voting. On May 13th is the last day to file vote by mail ballot applications. This must be done in person in the office of the county clerk. And then, as we all know, circle it on your calendar, May 14th is the municipal election day. At this time, candidates, we will begin with our opening statements, beginning with candidate Rodney Addison. Rodney?
Thank you, Councilman. Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, Honorable Clerk Office. Good afternoon, Moderator and Corporation Council and others. My name is Rodney Addison. I am 5A on the ballot for the First Ward City Council seat. In my official capacity, I'm a nutritionist here in the city of Paterson. I also run an organization for economic development through technology, to which here in the city of Paterson, we have our own version of Uber that I've developed called Pull Up Rideshare, to which I hired 390 individuals through the state of New Jersey, where 192 of which are Pattersonians, strongly within the 1st and 4th Ward here in the city of Paterson, where they get to keep 82% of the profits always. And that's just one economic means I've introduced into the city from a grassroots level to improve on many facets of the city's issues where around creating new ratables to help around the tax issues. My reasonings for running for the 1st Ward is because I am of the generation that has to eventually inherit this version of Paterson from those who come before myself. So, as always, in order to make a benefit for the city, you have to be able to put your foot in the race to become a part of the change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Addison. And just for everyone's knowledge, Mr. Addison's ballot position is 5A.
Yes, sir.
We will now have opening remarks from candidate Michael Jackson.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll see whether or not I can negotiate some travel terms with you. I love the way you introduced me there. But anyway, a good evening to everyone, and thank you, Madam Clerk, staff of the Clerk's Department, members of the administration, as well as the Municipal Council, and most importantly, thank you to all of the residents who are taking the time to tune in to this forum to vet your candidates that you choose to support. So As expressed by the tenured councilman, I am Michael Jackson. I am here once again asking for your support for my reelection. Through my time here, my tenure here as your first ward councilman, I think I have a lot to be proud of. I have stood on many of the issues that concern us most. In fact, while I'm sitting here, I just had to take a call from a young lady who was unfortunately had the unfortunate circumstances of losing her mother on Friday, and of which the management company, which oversees her apartment, came in and illegally evicted her family yesterday. They came in and changed the locks without their permission, without their consent. In fact, their sentiments to these tenants was, you have 5 minutes to get out whatever you want, and we're coming back to change the locks. Now, for those of us who know better, we understand that this is illegal. But the fact of the matter is the concerns of those of us, our residents, specifically the residents within the first ward, you know, our rights are often violated. Our concerns are not a matter of trust and concerns of those who have been put in place and put in authority. And I think that I have stood firmly on all of these issues like this. My track record in standing in unison with my membership of the constituency has been unwavered. In fact, as you'll hear tonight, I doubt there's no one that can ever contradict and or call me to task for any vote that I have supported something that was not in the best interest of my residents. So, including this derelict land manager in Roisman, who I have never supported in any of his ventures, the $100 million deals that has been passed over by this administration and the one prior where this mayor as an elected councilman has supported, I've never supported these items. Therefore, I'm left in many occasions fighting alone on your behalf when it matters most. When your family is in the most desolate position and you turn to the municipality for support and for help, when everyone turns their backs on you, you can count on Councilman Jackson to be there. And not to just be there with moral support, to be there with the facts, to be there with the letter of the law, to make sure that your laws and your rights aren't violated. So in this case, where it's illegal to evict anyone, no one has the authority, whether they're a landowner or manager or not, to just evict the tenant. But here we have our constituents being mistreated while those members, other members in the council and the administration sit back and ignore your circumstances. So when you look at my voting track record and the inappropriate spending at Hinchcliffe Stadium, I did not support that. The sewer utility tax, again, something that I challenged and did not support. All of the inappropriate spending that impacts you as a taxpayer and as a renter, the overdevelopment of our communities, the consistent approvals in the planning and zoning boards, of which not only do I contest as a council member, but I've also gone in front of those boards alongside of my membership and constituency in challenging these matters as well. So with that being said, I'm looking forward to today's outing. I'm looking forward to hear what my fellow candidates have to say. And I'm your first ward councilman, Mike Jackson, your advocate, and my voter roll is 1A. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, candidate Jackson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's your opportunity now to hear from candidate Vanya Santana.
Thank you. Good afternoon, residents of the First Ward. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanya Santana, and I'm one of the candidates running for council in the First Ward. Thank you, Madam Clerk, and all of you that have organized this forum. I think it's really important to get out there the message so the residents can vote on May 14. If I'm standing here today, it's because I'm ready to serve you, resident of the First Ward, as your councilwoman. It's because I have taken the time to prepare myself to be here today. I came from Dominican Republic 15 years ago, and this is the place I call home. Paterson is home. And just the fact that tomorrow I can offer back and work for you to represent you and the council make me feel really proud. Because that speaks about the potential and the quality of people Paterson have. I graduated from Eastside High School, and with the various of language at that time, and let me explain, I come from a town in the Dominican Republic that English is something that is really weird to hear. So coming here, learning the language was a little challenge, but at the same time it was the motivation, because I noticed that the city of Paterson is one of the cities most diverse in New Jersey. And having the opportunity to be here, it just bring the opportunity to encourage anyone that living here that this is a city that you can move forward and that you can be successful. I graduated with my master's degree in public administration, and I continue improving because I believe we have to continue improving to provide better service to our community. Residents of the First Ward, I'm here because I'm committed to serve you. I'm here because we deserve to have a council person that is committed, that is visible, and that is responsive. There's so many issues that has been neglected for way too long that have to be addressed. And I believe that together, we're gonna make that happen, because together, we are stronger. Together, we can make the improvement that we need to improve the quality of life of the residents. I can bring to the table ethical decision-making, professionalism, and I guarantee you that I'm gonna work hard to represent your interest. I'm not here to represent nobody platform or nobody agenda. I'm here running to represent your agenda as the resident of the First Ward. And I'm just humbly asking the opportunity to show you with my actions that I'm gonna work and I'm gonna be committed to that. This May 14, make sure you come out to vote. These are really important elections, because at the end of the day, that is the best way we can make our voice stronger. That's the best way we can address the issues that are happening in the First Ward. We have to be open to collaboration. It's a fact that sitting in the council, you need at least 5 votes to get anything approved. And we have to make sure the council person that represents us there is capable to collaborate with the council persons, with the council members, with the administration, and with everybody in our city. Remember, this May 14, I'm just asking to show you with actions that I'm gonna work hard for you, that I'm gonna represent you, and that I'm gonna make sure you can feel proud to call me your councilwoman. This May 14, vote 3-8 to support, and let's work together, because together, we definitely stronger.
Thank you, Candidate Santana. And again, Candidate Santana's ballot position is 3A. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we have an opportunity to hear from Candidate Udan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Musleh-Uddin. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Paterson, and I'm your council candidate for the First Ward. To start off, I just want to thank the Corporation Council, Madam Clerk, and the Clerk's Office, as well as Councilman Morris and the Tech Department for being here, and to the residents of the city of Paterson for tuning in on a busy day. And I'm very proud to be here, coming from my parents being immigrants, and they came here for a better opportunity and give opportunity to my siblings and me. And I'm very proud that I'm here to represent a very diverse city of Paterson. Paterson in New Jersey is one of the most diverse, you could say, even in the country. And as far as it goes for the first ward, it's also very diverse, probably the most diverse in the entire city. And it's unfortunate sometimes that the city of Paterson in the first ward is overlooked. And I'm here to tell you that you have 6 candidates running for the first ward, so that means that we're paying attention. And I'm here to tell everyone that we're tired of being overlooked, and we want to make sure that it's being represented. And we want to make sure that we get the resources that we need in the first ward. I come from a line of, I'm a first responder. I work for the Paterson Emergency Response Team for Fire and Police. I'm also a commissioner in the Paterson Task Force. I work with multiple grassroots organizations throughout the years, just trying to improve the city of Paterson. The grassroots are the backbone and the foundation of the city of Paterson. Where some elected officials might fail, the grassroots organizations are the ones that pick up where they left off. And when it comes to resources and getting back for our community, we have to make sure that we're getting the quality benefits. For example, I know many people, as myself, were very displeased when it comes to the new waste management company that we hired, FICO. And it's unfortunate that there's so many issues that we have when it comes to the cleanliness. We already have an issue with cleanliness, and when it comes to the new FICO waste management, they only pick up the regular trash, and the bulk trash is such an issue. If you go, especially in the first ward or even throughout the city, you're gonna see the same concerns everyone has. And why is that? Because we are mismanaging our budget. Instead of going for quality, we're going for the lowest bid, and that's unfortunate, and I want to change that. And in order for us to do that, we have to make sure that we have the right representation. And I want to also address that when we had the census that happens every 10 years, I myself worked very aggressively to make sure that Paterson becomes a Class A city. And it's unfortunate, I'm still waiting for us to get the Class A resources. So this is why I'm running. I want to make sure that everyone, including the first ward, has a voice that's being heard loud and clear. And I want to make sure that we're not being undermined when it comes to the other wards. I dislike the fact that when we hear other council members talk about their ward and stuff like that, but we have to make sure that in order for the city of Paterson to move forward, we have to make sure every single ward is working together to making sure that's improving. We can't just look at the 6th ward and forget about the 1st ward. We have to work together to make sure that we're getting allocation for every single ward. And I want to just address when it comes to the developing. I'm for developing, but I'm not for the overdeveloping. I'm not for the overcrowding. As you can see, our schools, it's overcrowded. The kids are not getting the resources they need, and it's unfortunate. We have to make sure we're holding the people that are investing in our community responsible. My name is Musleh-Uddin. I'm 6A on the ballot, and together let's move the first ward forward. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Uddin. Ladies and gentlemen, you had an opportunity to hear the opening statements from each of your first ward candidates, and I think you would agree you should be excited about the opportunities you have before you. Each of them have shown to be intimately qualified for this position. We will now move on to the next phase of this forum, which is the question phase. Again, as I stated earlier, this will happen in alphabetical order, and we will begin with candidate Rodney Addison, who will be asking his questions of candidates Michael Jackson, Fania Santana, and Mushle Udine.
That's interesting.
So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make a slight adjustment because we want to make sure that you're able to view the candidates that are asking the questions. So candidate Edison, we're going to ask that if you join us here. We want the whole world to be able to see you. So, are we ready? Fantastic. So, candidate Addison, your first question will be to candidate Michael Jackson.
So I was not prepared to ask a question. I thought I was going to receive a question. So I heard that wrong. I do apologize. Allergies got me woozy.
Yeah. This is your opportunity to ask each of the candidates a question. They will have an opportunity to also ask you a question. And if you don't have a question for the candidates, I will have a question for them.
So, Councilman Jackson, in your tenure as the First Ward City Council Council representative, how effective do you believe your tenure has been in these last 9 years in regards to lobbying, legislating the quality of life issues that benefits the entire ward as a whole, and not just individuals who may fall under your voter base?
Thank you, Brother Addison, for the question. Well, to be completely honest with you, I think my tenure as a councilman has been extremely effective. I have done a great deal by way of educating the community on the process in the past where people may not have been completely aware of the circumstances and the powers within the council. I think that I've done a phenomenal job of doing so. I've done a great job with pulling back the curtain and exposing a great deal of the mismanagement, the corruption, and so on and so forth. I often have an opportunity to hear people in contradiction to say, well, you need 5 votes. In many rights, what they're explaining is you need to be able to get along, to go along to get along, which I have never done. I've never sacrificed one vote that I've ever made as on my tenure as a council person. But yet, in fact, every item with the exception of one, I have managed to get through. And furthermore, I have taken it upon myself, because I have lacked the support from the administrative body and from the legal department, to actually write my own legislation, with no other council person has done that. So not only do I take the matters and issues at hand, but I actually take pen to paper, I do the legal research myself, and I've written my own legislation, of which I've written the residency parking legislation within your area, in which you're aware, you're right in front of your grandmother's house. the administration came there and posted a sign for residency parking, and yet they failed to administer the ordinance. When it comes time to advocating for residents being mistreated, whether it's overrun of assessments on their properties and et cetera, I've been very successful. And in fact, even without the support of those so-called 5 members, I still managed to get every item I present passed without it going through the usual process. Thank you.
Candidate Addison, you now have an opportunity to ask a question to candidate Fania Santana.
Excuse me.
Candidate Fania?
Just for clarification, so each candidate can ask 3 questions, but they can address who they want to ask the question to?
Is
Or you have to,
Each candidate will have an opportunity to ask their opponent 3 questions, all right? But he'll be able, for instance, Mr. Addison will be able to ask each of you a question. He will then return back to his seat to ask his second question, and then again, his third question. Now, that's the way it's here. Now, I will defer to Madam Clerk if they would prefer to ask each of the 3 questions when they're seated. Okay, so we're going to change the formats, so you'll have an opportunity to ask each candidate 3 questions while you're here. I'm sorry, does that answer your question?
yes, I mean, I just wanted to clarify because I know in previous forums it's usually 3 questions in general that one candidate asks. Just for clarification, but thank you so much.
You're welcome. Candidate Addison.
Thank you, Councilman.
Now, you can
Thank you,
choose
Madam
to ask
Clerk.
3 questions of candidate Jackson at this point, or you can do sort of a round robin. We can 1-1-1, and then 2-2-2, and 3-3-3. It's up to you.
Definitely, so I would definitely continue my questioning with Councilman Jackson, being that he is the incumbent and the most seasoned on the council, so I know his answers would be as direct as possible. So, second question, Councilman Jackson, and I do appreciate the efforts to get the residential parking on my block. You know, the senior citizens would have definitely appreciated it had that been enacted. I definitely appreciate that. But follow-up question to your tenure as the current council individual for the ward. You know, on the books, it shows that you've legislated quite an amount of legislations on the book, and I believe it's about 40 items in total, I believe, or so, where 33 of which were honorings and appointments, and the other 7 were stop signs and the residential signs. So from that perspective, that doesn't show as though it's been a meaningful legislative tenure for you per that information. What would you say to the constituents of the First Ward who look to vote for you a 3rd term, but not sure whether or not you can get the job done in terms of meaningful legislation to move the ward forward, knowing that you have to once again go up against the individuals who won't vote with you now?
So thank you, Brother Addison, for the question. So once again, I'm not sure exactly which honorings you're speaking about. I think with the exception of maybe 1 or 2. In fact, one of them was the designation for honoring Reuben Hurricane Carter, who I think nationally is being acknowledged for deserving of being mistreated. And with regard to any stop signals or things of that nature, that has not been my my usual conduct. But when I have exercised that right, it has been directly for the matter of public safety. For example, the corner of North 7th and Temple Street, the abundance of car accidents and the lives that were put on the line because of the enormous amount of traffic accidents and so on and so forth. The moment we introduced 4-way stops, those accidents immediately subsided. And furthermore, this is just a reflection of what's being requested from the community. I've never taken it upon myself to mandate and to introduce something that wasn't being asked of me from the community. So those stop signs may have included in bulk, because they were all done successively, the stop signs of North 7th and Clinton, the stop sign of North 7th and Jefferson, the stop sign on Temple and North 9th, of which recently you've seen a piece of legislation where I've redirected traffic because of the number of accidents, again, on the hills of Clinton and Jefferson Street, where I have single-handedly gone out because the city has failed to put a road engineer in place, traffic engineer, and we redesigned those blocks to be one-ways to prevent accidents and also to subside the overabundance of parking issues that we've had because of the inadequacy of the planning and Board of Adjustments. So I think that all of my efforts have been in answer to the community's request.
Thank you, Candidate Jackson. Candidate Addison?
So with the respect to the other candidates on the panel, you know, due to the nature that you have not yet got the ability to show what the capacity you can offer to the city from a council position, I would like to know from Fania, right? Fania, you know, with substance, your platform that you're introducing, how do you see it being effective in the current state of the first ward, the current state of the first ward?
So, just one more time, my name is Fania Santana, and I'm in your ballot. I'm in position 3-8. Thank you for your question, Mr. Ronnie. The platform that I presented and some of the issues that I have been highlighting, which are improving public safety, promoting neighborhood beautification, those are some of those, are because I've been knocking on doors since June. So these issues have been addressed or highlighted by the residents of the first ward that they would like to see. They would like to see the different and change when it comes to those with those issues. Just the fact that I'm not an elected official doesn't mean that I cannot be out there, listen to the community, hearing the community, and making sure that when I get elected, with your support, I can address the issues that have been collected like a database. So I think that's important to understand. When you're running for office, you are running to represent the interest of the residents. And connecting with the residents is just really important. Thank you for your question, and one more time, I'm 3-8 in your ballot.
Candidate Addison, do you have a second question for Ms. Santana?
Absolutely. So, with respects to the first ward, you know that we are about 28,000 residents strong. Suppose 14,000 registered voters, and on average in the last 5 elections, only 1,500 voters have ever turned out. Would you agree that is the issues of leadership failing to continuously advocate and educate on the importance of civic responsibility in terms of collaborating with other ethnic communities within the ward, because the first ward is the most diverse of all the wards in terms of ethnicity? What is your position on collaborating with all ethnicities within the ward to make sure that every community receives the necessary resources that is necessary to become a thriving community, especially within the North Side area?
Thank you, Ronnie, for your questions. My name is Fania Santana, and I'm 3-8 in your ballot. And let me say that promoting equity and increasing and improving access to jobs and providing affordable housing options are one of the best mechanisms to guarantee that the diversity of residents we have in the first ward have an opportunity to continue calling first ward their home. And let me add something to this question. One of the things I have noticed by walking and knocking on doors is that I have heard a lot of our residents complaints about how they're gonna have to move because they don't feel safe, because situations that happen in the surrounding area where they are residing. And, and it's not fair, because that's Paterson, and for those who live in the first ward, this is home. And we should be able to proudly call our councilperson or the person that represent us to address and work with us to resolve those issues. And I feel that the lack of voting records that we have, that people are coming to vote, is influenced by the fact that we don't have representation that people can feel proud of. I noticed a lack of faith and a lack of trust when it comes to elected officials, and we have to change that. And I want to take the opportunity of this election to get that message out there. We have to continue working. We cannot lose faith. We have to come out to vote. So I have faith that this year we're going to see an increase on voting record. Thank you for your question. And I'm 3-8 in your ballot.
Thank you, Candidate Santana. Candidate Addison, do you have a third question for Candidate Santana, or you wish to move on?
I wish to move on.
Your pleasure, sir.
Candidate Uden, how you doing, brother?
Excuse me?
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Can't complain. So my question for you, and don't mind my little humor, it's a little tense in here right now. Nobody know what anybody gonna say, so my question for you is similar to that in which I gave candidate Santana. The first ward is very diverse, to which a great margin of the resources seems to often underlook the north side area of the first ward, to which which is stated by the state of New Jersey to be not only the most dilapidated area in the city, but the area in which receives very next to no food access. What is your plan to address the needs of that specific area of the first ward as it pertains to the need to increase food access?
Rodney Addison, thank you for the question. It's a great question. My name is Musleh-Uddin. I'm 6A on the ballot. To start off, when we discuss and talk about the diversity in the first ward, I feel like you have to be inclusive to all the communities. Make sure that you're mingling with everyone. You're raising questions and concerns and talking to the residents and seeing what their needs are, what their questions are, what their concerns are. It's unfortunate, especially when it comes to the north side. I know that we have so many issues when it comes to cleanliness. We also have the quality of life issues as well. And in order for us to tackle these issues, we have to make sure that we're talking to the elders in our communities. We're talking to especially the senior citizens. They have been there more than many of us there. They have the experience, and they know what needs to be addressed. We have to listen. We have to have open ears. We have to make sure that when it comes to our community, we're listening and we're encouraging other people to speak up as well. And when it comes to like food and resources like that, we need to initiate where we work with grassroots organizations and make sure that we ensure more community gardening. When I was growing up, I heard a lot about community gardenings in the community, but it's unfortunate since then it's been an excessive decline in community gardening. Community gardening, not just so you could get accessible to food, but also educate, especially the youth, and learn how you could be able to grow your own vegetation. You're able to learn about certain fruits and vegetables, and also when it comes to health as well, it benefits our community as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Uddin. Candidate Addison, do you have a follow-up question for Candidate Uddin?
I do. So would you agree that in respect to the first ward, again being one of the most dilapidated areas in the city of Paterson, as well as in the state of New Jersey, that as it pertains to, again, once again, the north side area of the first ward, that its cries for social justice stems from the lack of economic development that comes through that area due to the results of the administration and the city council body not being able to agree to how to appropriately allocate the resources that are necessary to create a thriving community, such as improving on infrastructures in terms of transportation, in terms of water and sanitation, as well as the educational areas of that ward.
Okay, to answer that question, to start off, especially in the north side area, it needs a lot of special attention, unfortunately. We have to make sure we're holding the administration accountable, make sure that we have an open dialogue, as well as with the elected officials, make sure that they're doing their due diligence to make sure that they're looking at these areas, especially in the first ward, like the north side area. Like, for example, when it comes to our youth and when it comes to education and the lack of resources, we had that library in that area in the first ward that's been sitting there for years, just closed. The youth did not have any access, the community didn't have access, and it's very unfortunate. For me growing up, coming from a low-income household, I depended on the library. That's where I went to do most of my projects, do most of my homework, because I was unfortunate to have a computer in my house or a laptop. So when it comes to things like that, I'm a huge advocate, especially when it comes to the youth. Our youth is our foundation, and that's going to continue to move not just the city of Paterson forward, but the first ward. We have to make sure that we're being responsible as adults, and the issues that we faced and the traumas that we deal with on a daily basis, especially in the first ward, we have to ensure that we're not just a voice, but we're also using our actions to make sure that we encourage that for our youth, we are there and we are visible. And I think that's very important, because we need mentorship. Growing up here, it's tough. You gotta make sure that you have some kind of mentorship. And I know there's a lot of great people out there, but we have to make sure we put the best interests of our youth, because this is what's going to run our city in the future. These are the people that are going to help improve the city of Paterson in the first ward. My name is Musleuddin, and I'm 6th on the ballot. And Rodney, thank you for the question.
Thank you. Candidate Addison, you do have an opportunity to ask one additional question of each of the candidates.
I'll yield.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we're going to move to candidate Jackson to ask his questions of the candidates. That would be candidates Fonda Santana, Musle Odin, and Rodney Addison. Candidate Jackson, we invite you to take a seat to the Madam Clerk's right.
Okay.
And your first question will be to candidate Addison.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman. More importantly, thank you, Madam Clerk, for sitting between us. My first question I will ask to each one of the candidates. So it'll be one question that each candidate can have an opportunity to answer. Based on your candidacy, obviously, there's a feeling of indifference of my tenure and my time on the council. So I ask of each of you, what items have you witnessed or seen me support or vote on that you feel indifferent of? And what would you have done differently had you been the person sitting in my chair at that moment? Brother Addison.
Thank you for the question. So, though I cannot speak to a specific item, but I can say that while in the position, this position is about creating relationships, not just for one individual item, but for the benefit of the ward as a whole. Leadership is about how you impact impact those who are around you so that they can uplift themselves in order to do what is right for their own benefit. So in terms of your tenure in the last 9 years, and I've lived in the same apartment for the last, umpteenth years, I've only seen the First Ward get worse year after year, and there's nothing on the books, statistically, metrically, or otherwise, that can prove the First Ward has gotten better under your tenure or the ones prior to yourself. In regards to what could have been done better, we could have, not we, but the city council and the body and the incumbent specifically could have put their individual differences aside to say that I will lobby for the ward, specifically to the needs to improve the ward as a whole, and not put any individual bias that they may have with the administration and or the council people they have to work with on a continuous basis to make sure that the legislations that you would have liked to have seen foreseen happen, as wonderful as they may have been, could have been, we will never know.
Thank you, Candidate Addison. I assume that concludes your remarks, and I believe Candidate Jackson, you have the same question for Candidate Santana. So Candidate
Thank you.
Santana, does he need to repeat the question?
I think I'm waiting for Mr. Jackson to be out of the phone so he can hear my answer.
They cannot put her. Yes. Yes. This is Councilman Jackson. The only one who has the authority to evict anyone is an officer of the court, which is
Excuse
someone
me.
from the county. No one can evict anyone.
So,
Right.
Candidate Jackson, first, you're on a hot mic, so.
I understand what I'm,
Thank you.
she does not have to leave. It doesn't matter if it's housing, tenants'
Just-
rights are tenants' rights. Tenants' rights are tenants' rights. You do not have the ability to evict her.
It's hard.
It doesn't matter, even if she was a squatter, there's still rights. They have to go through the court system. They do not have the right to just change the locks.
So Candidate Jackson, we're going to move on to the next candidate. We're going to let you deal with that constituent issue at this time, and then we'll come back to you.
Very good, very good.
And we're going, actually, I want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to ask Councilman Jackson, Candidate Jackson, a follow-up question as well as be participatory. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to take a brief pause for five minutes.